And then.
Okay, great. Thank you everyone for coming, and I'm super excited to continue our theme of immigrants. I think I heard back from a lot of people last week. They had a fun time listening to Hussein, but I promise you that Atossa is going to blow us all away. She is an intellectual property attorney and entrepreneur with a passion for bringing new technologies and new challenges to us. She is currently heading an organization called Immobilize, which is a startup company that's developing a laser security system. She's also the chief counsel for Micron, which is a Kent-based liquid crystal company and develops world's first electronically tintable eyewear for consumers and the US Army, and one customer here as well. She was born in Iran, spent 15 years in England, studying and working as a dentist and oral surgeon before moving to Ohio and switching to a career in law. I want to hear how the immigrants come as dentists and become lawyers. This is the land. Well, I mean it in the most affectionate way to all the lawyers I know, including my father-in-law. Atossa has a Juris Doctorate from Case Western Reserve University, as well as MPhil in neuroscience and 2 dental degrees from the University of London. Going a little bit off script, I've known Atossa for a long time, and this doesn't even cover the breadth and depth of what she has. I have learned a tremendous amount from her, from my friendship with her over the decades, and particularly about life in general, and family, and how to raise some pretty incredible human beings. So with that, Atossa, thanks for coming.
Thank you very much, Asad, for asking me to speak, and for everyone. This is such a wonderful organization. I was just saying that over the summer I was in London, and sure enough, I see the Rotary Club in the area that I was staying. So you really have a wonderful international presence, and it's really my honor to be invited to speak. Just going to put the timer on so I don't go over. I think Asad covered quickly my bio, and I was going to speak about, my personal journey, but then I thought maybe it would be even more interesting to talk a little bit about Iran, my home country, where I came from, because there's a few, I think, myths, and I'm not sure if this will work. Maybe no. Next slide, please. Maybe that will work. Well, no. Oh, I can try. Not sure where I'm pointing. Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, there we go. Yeah, how do I? Oh, okay. All right. Aha, there we go. Okay. So there's a number of interesting things that I want to cover, but I do know that time is precious, so I don't want to keep everybody waiting. But there's some, I guess, myths or assumptions that are made about Iran, and of course, we're always in the media, not portrayed not that well. So I wanted to go through and just quickly give you what an Iranian's point of view is on all of this. Of course, starting with geography, we're based in Asia. And we're obviously in the Middle East, surrounded by a lot of the countries who are in the news recently. Most recently, of course, Afghanistan shares a big border with us. But the one thing that I'm going to ask you to just step back here, Amanda, and then if you use this mic and hold it closer. We have people who are hard of hearing in this room, and so I think if you keep it closer. Is this better? Yes. Sorry about that. I'm not going to start from the beginning. Talking about geography of Iran. So in the Middle East, that's where we are, surrounded by a lot of conflict, of course. But the thing that we always like to take home is that Iran looks like a sitting cat. And of course, we are known for Persian cats. So, whoops. Oh no, go back. So this is, if the only thing you remember when you look at a map, you can always pick out Iran because that is what it looks like. So I'm going to go back. There you see it, right? so that's how we always remember what the shape looks like. The other thing about geography is that we're always, everybody thinks we're full of deserts. We do have some, but we are actually very mountainous, a lot of mountain ranges, and a lot of climates starting from a very luscious green climate up in the north next to the Caspian Sea to the very arid deserts that we have in central Iran. Not sure where to go. Yeah, so that's probably not what everybody thinks when they think of Iran. It's more like the bottom. We do have the driest desert in the world, but we also have the mountain ranges. History, we are very proud of our history. It goes back obviously to the time of the Persian Empire, which even predates the Greek Empire, some 3,000, 2,500 years ago. And we have the Persepolis, which was the capital of the Persian Empire, and it's still there in the town of Shiraz, which you see there up at the upper left side. But a lot of architecture over the centuries that we're very proud of. Of course, we have the Persian gardens, that has really made its way around the world in a lot of different shapes, but originated. And what you see on the bottom right is one of those examples. And then, of course, we have the Islamic architecture, which is what is unique, but uniquely Persian part of it, but I'm not going to go into that. So Tehran, our capital city, that is what it looks like. A lot of high-rise buildings, a lot of cars, a lot of people, and it's a pretty bustling city. Those numbers are actually a little old now, 6 million in 2017. I'm not quite sure how many now, but it's a bit like Mexico City in terms of, gosh, this thing is very trigger happy. Oh my gosh, sit. Okay. We're all, a lot of times considered as a third world country, but of course, oil and petroleum is our main source of income. So that has made us rich for quite a lot of our history. So it's kind of up for debate whether we're a poor country or not. But of course, with sanctions, we definitely are not able to make use of that petroleum like we used to. Women, obviously, I'm a woman, and everybody always thinks, okay, what is, how are women and what do they think about and how do they feel about how they're treated? So Iranian women have enjoyed historically a very different position in society compared to their Arab or Afghan neighbors. We have more than 50% of our university students are women. We have women in every walk of life. They're very active. And in this, I want to show you that, we have to wear the hijab now under the Islamic Republic. It's compulsory, but people don't like it. And you can tell the ones who don't like it because there's more hair showing than not. And it's historically, women have not really been suppressed in Iran the way, some of our neighboring countries have had that. So just something to keep in mind. And of course, we are very proud of the only female winner of the Fields Medal in math, which is basically the equivalent to the Nobel Prize. Iranian, born in Iran, educated in Sharif University in Tehran, but then she made her way here to Stanford University. Unfortunately, she has now passed away at a very young age to cancer, but she has left her mark in the world, and we're very proud of that. Religion. So this is my hometown. I am from Mashhad, and it is a holy city. That means there's a holy shrine there that we call it the Golden Dome, which is where one of the followers of the Prophet Muhammad in the Islamic Shiite tradition is buried. And that dome is actually gold. And that's why it's called the Golden Dome, as well as the minaret. And that's a big place of pilgrimage. Almost 1 million people go there every year. And it's huge. That picture doesn't do it justice, but it kind of makes the Vatican look very small in comparison size-wise. So the picture, the black and white picture you see at the top, are some members of my family. This is back in the day before the revolution, and as you can see from the picture, it's very similar to what you would see over here or anywhere in the West. So we definitely, the revolution was a bit of a shock to the system for many people. But I do want to say that the picture down the bottom also shows what was going on in the country at the same time. So we did have this imbalance, and it was quite a big divide and difficult to cross that bridge. And these are pictures of me. So I actually thought I'll share that. The black and white one is me and my best friend in middle school. She's right now actually here as a green card. She came over as a green card lottery winner. And she's working as an ophthalmologist in Texas. But we were best friends then, and we still are. The one on the right is me before the revolution, as you can see with the hair. And then the bottom, I'm not in that picture, but it shows the contrast of then how we had to dress up to go to school. That's in our classroom in high school. And that all of that headgear was compulsory. We had to do it, so we did. Not sure if we have time. Probably not. I just quickly go through the pictures. I think the revolution is something that people talk about a lot, but it really was a people's revolution at the time, until, of course, you know, the Khomeini took power and took it in a different direction. Women during the marches, as you can see back in the day, you can't see many headscarves because that's just not what it was about. And it just changed into a religious thing afterwards. So I'm going to just go through these. Also, whoop, because I think in the interest of time, just want to put some more pictures of my kids when we would go back for visits. That's me and my son and daughter when they were little. And, you know, of course, I also had to wear the headscarf in public. That's my dad. That's one of the parks in my hometown in the background. That's a restaurant we went to, if you can believe it. That's actually what the restaurant looks like. And I just want to leave you with this that shows that, you know, kids can have fun wherever they are. And there was no exception for mine. And that's a picture of the both of them coming down the slides back home. And I think that's all I have time for. Thank you so much for your indulgence. And I guess I'll be open for Q&A. Thank you.
What's the biggest misconception that you think the Americans have of the Iranian people?
Well, I'm going to tell you a story, which is a true story. Back when I was having my daughter and we visited a Home Depot here with my husband to go pick up some carpet for the room we were preparing for her. And the girl who was helping us at Home Depot kind of got talking and said, "Where are you from?" We said, "Oh, we're from Iran." And you could see in the back, she was trying to kind of process that. And then we went and we chose the carpet. And then when it was time to pick it up, she turned around and she literally said, "Have you brought your camel? I mean truck." Of course, this was very, very funny to us, and I still tell the story. We had a witness, so I'm not making that up. But I think it's that image that you see in the news. It's the image of kind of, I don't know, like Arab garb, deserts, repressed women and all of that. And it's kind of unfortunate, but I think that's it.
Can you tell us about your journey? How did you go from Iran to England and then from England to the US and your educational choices?
Oh, yes, sure. So I was in Iran until I graduated high school. And then because of the revolution and all the changes in the war, and that time it was the Iran-Iraq war, my parents decided to send my sister and I to England to study. So I went there to study. So I went there to go to university. So I did dentistry, and then I was working, and then I kept going back to school to do more dentistry, endodontics, by the way, for the dentists in the room. And I was studying towards a PhD and was all fully involved with that. And I saw my husband here on a trip when I came here to kind of look for PhD places. And I met him here. And we fell in love, and he proposed, and I said yes. And then I stayed in England for another year, and that was not working out. So I just packed my bags and I came. And that's how I ended up here, because he works here in Kent. I think he was a former speaker. He's the CEO of Alpha Micron. So the choices, of course, the dentistry was to do something. My parents were adamant that because of all the changes with the regime in Iran, that the girls, my sister and I, would be educated in a way that we would be independent and not relying on anyone. And dentistry was a good choice for that. So that's how I ended up with dentistry. When I came here, it seemed very difficult to go through. I had to jump through a lot of hoops to get certified to do dentistry here. And then they said, you're not going to be able to call yourself board certified endodontist and all the rest of it. So, and I was also bitten by the bug, the American bug, which is if you come over here, you can do a do-over and start again. So I did, and I went to law school, and that's how I just switched.
Can you tell us a little bit about what daily life is like today in Iran, given all the sanctions? How do people live?
Yeah, thank you for that. People are very depressed, I can tell you that. It is like a national endemic condition for everyone. Just everybody is down and depressed. The young don't think that they have a possibility of jobs. Economically, the inflation is skyrocketing. I have no idea how people even, manage to scrape a living together. So really hard. And I skipped over the movement, the green movement, where the people rose up and they wanted to topple the present regime in 2008, 2009, and they just couldn't. There was such a brutal backlash, beatings, imprisonments, and so on, that they don't feel like they're able to do anything about it because the regime is just too powerful. We have like 3 militaries basically at any point that they can be called to action. So, so everybody is just making the best they can, but it's hard. And they are sad and they don't see any way out, unfortunately.
Would it be safe for you to go back now to visit?
Great question. It was safe until I think a few years ago, but because of my husband's work here at Alpha Micron with the US military, and because I work there and now my new venture also works with the US military, the Air Force, we have some grants and we don't believe it's safe. So we are not, even though my parents are there, if something happens, I don't think we can go back, just to be cautious because you never know what the Iranian regime might, decide to do.
In addition to missing your family, of course, what do you miss the most about being in Iran and your own culture?
Yeah, it's so not only immediate family, but there is a warmth that emanates from the people, larger family, just people in the street. It's just different and it's very difficult to explain, but you feel it almost as soon as you touch down from the plane and in the people around. And that's really hard to replicate. Certainly not there in England, I can tell you that. And and it's hard here as well. So that's that warm and fuzzy kind of everybody's being supportive and being around you that I miss, as well as the food.
How have things changed as far as what led to the revolution for those people that have they improved? Have those conditions that led to the revolution, are those people in a better position today?
Maybe
prior to the sanctions.
Right. There was a period of time right after the revolution where they kind of opened up the education and opened up a lot of opportunities, and it did improve a little bit. And then it kind of went back and forth. And then there was a period of time where we had a reformist president. Things opened up, the borders opened up, businesses opened up, so people were able to do kind of a little bit more entrepreneurship and so on. So that was a good period. But overall, things have gotten pretty bad and a lot worse because, well, as a result, we had a 10-year war that took its toll. Now we have the sanctions and the country is pretty closed. It's become almost militarized. So if you, in retrospect, what we had before was way better than what we have now, despite all of the inequalities.
If you can paint a little bit of a picture, I'm always interested in people that come to this country and leave behind their home country and where they have grown up. So when you are here, both now and over the last 20 years, what parts are the most exciting and the most inviting and the most amazing about being here and being in this country, or first when you came, or even now over time? Just maybe trying to contrast or paint a picture of this here, because you have a very unique lens of having grown up on 3 different continents. So it would be really cool to hear about, like, hey, here's some amazing highlights about being here.
That's great. And thank you for bringing that up, because I did want to say it. So having been on 3 continents, I think my husband and I, both immigrants, really think that there's something special about America compared to Europe, where I lived for 15 years, and compared to Iran. The way that you can do anything, and the way that is drilled into, say, people, society, my kids, and the fact that they really have the opportunity to almost do whatever they want. And they have, sometimes the rest of the world complains that Americans are very arrogant. And I'm like, yeah, because that's how they really believe that it's special, and it is special. It is not replicated anywhere else. I've lived it. I've been in Europe. It's not the way it is over there. Over there, things are a lot more limited, and you don't grow up thinking I can do anything. You certainly don't grow up thinking that in Iran. So that kind of empowering way of thinking, believing, and going through life, I think it's really special. And so I'm really happy that my kids are here and I can see that in action. There's a lot of other things too, but I think that one stands out the most.
Thank you, Atossa. It is a custom in our club to have a responder to every program, and today's responder is Dr. Chris Martin. Do you want the mic, or do you want to talk?
I can use this. Okay. Dr. Alavi, you spoke about your life in Iran and in England and here, and we appreciate hearing firsthand your experiences and how your family grew up in Iran and the social issues you've had to deal with. I happened to Google your name in preparation for this, and I was very amazed that you have done all of this studying and all of these degrees that you really didn't talk about that very much, but she is a dentist in England, right? And then you became an endodontist and an oral surgeon. Now it's 4 years in college here, and I'm assuming it's probably the same way in the UK, but for an endodontist, it's another 2 years to get the master's degree for endodontics, and then another 3 to 4 years for oral surgery. And then on top of that, she has a master's in neuroscience, and you've done a lot of biomedical research, right? And then some of that you may have done here. But to give all that up with all that amount of work, we've got 4 dentists in the Rotary Club. And I can't imagine changing careers with all that work. It's pretty amazing. But on behalf of the Kent Rotary Club, we want to thank you for coming and sharing your life experiences here. And I know you're working with Alpha Micron now, which is a company recognized worldwide for the liquid crystal photonics. And what you're doing there is really something that's needed in this country and in this world, you know, protecting patents and intellectual property. And we just need more people like you.
When I was a dentist or now that
Well, all of it. Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much, Atossa. And I look forward to having you be a visitor, a guest